have us calculating present and future value? No. Have I heard that come up? No, you need to know why you would be doing it and what the inputs are, right? So if I have a present value, for example, I have a customer, he says, Dean, I have $100,000 today. That's present value. He says, Dean, I want to retire in 20 years with $400,000. That's future value. And so what is necessary for me to do the math? I need to know the number of compounding periods, in this example, 20 years. I need to know what kind of rate of return I'm going to need to turn the 100 into 400. And then I could actually compute this. Now, in the example I just gave you, I could use a cocktail party trick called the Rule of 72. Right. But I would have, or Dean, I want $400,000 in 20 years in retirement. How much do I need today? So the future value is 400. I have 20 years. I need a rate of return, and then that would give me whatever that present value. My example, 100,000. So it's mainly inputs and outputs. Not can you do the math, because you don't have a key with an exponential calculator, anyways. And then knowing the basics of that. What I mean by that is the difference between the 100,000 to 400,000. The rate of return is 7.2. That's the internal rate of return, and that's the bridge from that present value of 100,000 to the future value of 400. Now, the other way this comes up is, when we're trying to figure out present value to decide whether it's a good value or not to make the investment. So one valuation technique to discover present value, particularly on fixed income investments, is the discounted cash flow valuation technique, where I call Brian. I say, hey, Brian, I'm considering buying a 6% 10-year bond. Could you tell me what the present value of that is? And he said, well, Dean, you're going to get 20 payments of $30. The first payment is worth more, money and time value money. Money today is always worth more than that last check of $30. And Brian, I need to know what the $1,000 10 years from today is worth today. So Brian calls me back. He says, hey, Dean, I did the math for you. Using DCF, the present value of the bond is 900. He says, well, what's the market price? I say, damn, 900. Now that means there's no net present value. So that's how it comes up. It comes up in that context. If Brian told me 900, I could buy it for 880. Woohoo! I got a good value, positive net present value. So I would say this, Bash, if you tell me you missed the 65 or 66 because of math, I'm going to say, nah, you have bigger problems. And a lot of people go overdose on this as well. I had a guy, he's a math geek. He told me, Dean, give me 2 numbers I can solve. And he passed, but hubris, I said, I hate to break this to you. You're not going to get a chance on this exam to demonstrate your prowess with math. It's just not that big a deal. Brian, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's another thing we talk about a lot. There will be one math calculation. I believe it's a total return,
Total return. So, Bashel, performance measures come up way more on 65 and 66. Performance measures. Yeah. Then do future value, present value, future value, net present value. So, yeah. And the other thing that shows up a lot more in that category called analytical methods, of where we find DCF, is going to be those balance sheet calculations, working capital, current ratio, quick ratio, that kind of stuff.